Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I'm going to bring you my November TBR. And I have taken off my glasses. I don't have my contacts in right now because the glare is really bad and it was driving me crazy, so I don't actually know what I look like. I can't see right now, so bear with me if I'm like off camera or something like that. But this is going to be an interesting TBR. It was intended to be small for a couple of reasons that I'll go into. But as I was pulling together the books that I really want and need to read in the month of November, it suddenly grew and grew and grew, and now it is smaller than usual, but still quite sizable. So this month is going to be a funny one for reading, as it always is, because it's NaNoWriMo. NaNoWriMo, if you are not aware, is National Novel Writing Month. It takes place in November, and the goal is, it can be really your own goal, whatever you want, but the main kind of goal that people try to achieve, and the one that I'm going to try to achieve, is to write 50,000 words in a month of your novel, your book, whatever you want to write. So I participated in NaNoWriMo last year and had actually a really good time. I had literally never put pen to paper for fiction before. I had never written anything. And although I did not win NaNoWriMo, I did write like 23,000 words of a really shitty fantasy book. And it was kind of awesome. I really enjoyed the experience as much as it like destroyed my anxiety and everything like that. I was kind of a mess for part of the month. It was still a really good experience. So I'm gonna do it again. I have an outline this time, which is kind of like a minor miracle, and I'm going to be participating in NaNoWriMo. Hopefully it'll be less painful than last year. I've learned some lessons. One of those lessons also being that I'm not going to get a lot of reading done this month. So that is why I wanted to have this smaller TBR. It didn't really happen though. I have kind of split this TBR into two parts. So I've got my stuff that I actually like really need to read, which is all exclusively review copies from publishers. And then I have been kind of on this binge of a particular author, and I have a ton of her books. So I want to read at least one or two of those. So I'm going to show you all the ones that I've got at the moment. But first, I'm going to start with the books that I was sent by publishers that I really need to read. So this first part of my review copies, I've got 5 books here. These were all sent to me by publishers with the exception of one, which is actually a review copy I am borrowing from a friend. And because I'm filming this in early November, it means that I've actually already finished one of these books, which I'm very pleased about. So I'm going to start with that one. The first book on my November TBR was The Guinevere Deception by Kiersten White. This comes out from Delacorte Press, which is part of Penguin, in November. I don't remember when, so if I can remember, I'll put it on the screen for you guys later, but I believe it's mid-November, and it is a basically a King Arthur retelling from the point of view of Guinevere, but she's not really Guinevere. She is a imposter, a witch sent by Merlin to protect Arthur. Arthur is completely aware of this whole thing that's happening. They marry, it's a marriage of convenience, and she's trying to figure out what supernatural threat is coming for Arthur and for Camelot. And I just finished this yesterday, and I actually really enjoyed it. I've never read any of Kiersten White's books, but I know that she is very divisive on BookTube. People either really love her stuff or they really do not love her stuff. So I was kind of prepared to potentially not enjoy this, but I really did. I think I'm going to do an actual video review of this book, so keep an eye out for that soon. But I enjoyed it. I had some ups and downs, some things that I didn't like, but a lot of stuff I did really enjoy. So this was a really good one to have on my November TBR, and I've already read it. So the next book on my November TBR is one that I definitely have to read by mid-November because I am on the blog tour for this book for the publisher, so I have to post a review on a certain date. I can't remember when that date is. It's in my calendar. And this should be an interesting one because I actually enjoyed the first one. It was one of my first reviews that I did on this channel way back when. And I enjoyed the first one. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I hated the second one. Absolutely hated the second one for a lot of reasons that I'm not going to get into because I'll start ranting. So I'm kind of 50-50 on her books, but I have a lot of hopes for this one for reasons that I will go into in a minute. This is The Sky Weaver by Kristen Cicerelli. This comes out from Gollancz here in the UK. Again, I will put the date on the screen. This is the third book in the Last Namsara series, and I think it's going to be the last one. I think it's a trilogy. And what's interesting about these books is that they are, I would classify them more as companion novels than sequels, because they follow different characters, and the plot line still kind of continues forward. It's still like chronological and everything like that, but it follows different characters. So the first one follows Asha, who is a dragon slayer. The second one follows a character whose name I don't even remember because I hated that book so much. And this one follows Saphir. And I really like Saphir. This is the reason why I'm very excited for this book. Saphir is Asha's cousin, and I remember really enjoying her, especially in that first book. I don't think that either of them play a particularly big role in the second one. It mainly focuses on the woman who becomes Asha's sister-in-law. I think this is going to be really good. I have really high hopes. I don't know a huge amount about it. I know it's got pirates. We got Saphir. We got pirates. And we're following the kind of Skyweaver's knife mythology in this world. And I think it's going to be really good because, one, she's a really good character. Two, I really love Kristen Cicerelli's world building. I love the mythology that is woven into her books. It's so fantastically done. It's really, really great. I really enjoy her writing. I am 50-50 on some of her characters, but I really like Saphir from the other book. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm really excited to read this. It's probably going to be my next read because I do need to have it done by that certain date. The next book is easily one of my most highly anticipated books of the year. I'm so excited for this. I can't wait. It's going to be so good. I'm also probably going to read this next, sort of alongside The Sky Weaver, mostly because I just can't wait to read this. It's going to be so good. This is Realm of Ash by Tasha Suri. This comes out from Orbit Books mid-November. I can't remember any dates right now. I've got NaNoWriMo brain, but this comes out in mid-November here in the UK, and it's gonna be so good. If you haven't read her debut novel, which is Empire of Sand, which came out last year, it's incredible. It's a really gorgeous book. And when I read it, I think I gave it 4 stars because it took me a really long time to read, because it's definitely a slow burn book. If you're looking for like a rollicking, fast-paced adventure, I don't think that book, and probably not this book, I don't think they're gonna be your thing, but they're beautiful, beautiful world building, probably the most beautiful magic system I've ever read. Really phenomenal slow burn romance in that first book. I'm really excited for this one. This is a companion novel to Empire of Sand where we follow Mare. This one follows her younger sister Arwa. Arwa's 21 years old. She is a recent widow. Some kind of massacre or something has happened, and her husband and all of the other people at this fort were killed, and she was spared because of the magic in her blood that no one is supposed to know about because her mother's people have been persecuted. So everyone kind of pretends that this side of her doesn't exist, but it does save her life. And we're gonna go from there. I know it's gonna have a romance. It's really great. From I've skimmed through the first 15 pages or so, and it's already really fantastic. Arwa's gonna be an amazing character. If you like adult fantasy and you want some diverse reads with a really beautiful non-European setting, you should absolutely pick up her books because they are so good. So, so, so good. I'm gonna cut myself off. Next book that I have is one that I am borrowing from a friend because she was sent a review copy of this. And this book has been causing some controversy. People either say, this book is problematic, or what are you talking about? This book is not problematic. And I'm really curious to see where I fall in this. I really just kind of want to see what I think of it, and I want to see where the trouble is coming from, if that makes any sense. I kind of want to form my own opinion about this. So I am very, very interested in reading Serpent and Dove in the month of November. This is from Shelby Mahurin, and I think it's Harper Teens. It's Harper 360 here in the UK. And I don't know a huge amount about this. I know that it is a marriage of convenience between a witch and a witch hunter. Why they have to get married, who actually knows? But honestly, who cares? I love a marriage of convenience. And I think it's like a French-inspired world. And that's pretty much all I know about it, other than the fact that it has stirred up some controversy on BookTube. So I'm gonna go into this knowing as little as possible. I've been trying to not go into the controversy because I knew I wanted to read this book and I wanted to kind of form my own opinion. If you've read this, let me know what you think, because I'm very, very curious about this one. Don't really know what to think about it yet. But the next book that I have from publishers that I'd like to read is one that I actually hadn't heard of before. It showed up unsolicited and I took a look at it and I was like, oh my god, this sounds amazing. So I think that other people might know what this is. I have no idea. I don't know anything about what this is based on or anything like that, but it's one that's really caught my eye and I'm very, very intrigued by this. This is The Infinite Noise by Laura Shippen. This comes from Tor Teen, and I believe that this is based on a podcast that Laura Shippen does called The Bright Sessions. And from what I can tell, it's kind of like X-Men sort of, it's got that X-Men kind of vibe to it. We have our main character's name, I think, is Caleb, and he is 16, he plays football, he does all normal 16-year-old stuff, but he begins having these kind of like terrible mood swings and things start happening to him, and he learns that he is something called atypical. If you're atypical, you have these kind of special powers. So I believe there's another character in this named Adam, and he and Caleb, I'm imagining from like the cover and from the description, probably start to have feelings for each other, and that's going to get complicated by the fact that Caleb is atypical. And we also have Caleb's therapist, Dr. Bright, who I imagine maybe not a sinister character in this, but someone who knows more than she's letting on. And all of this sounds really great. I'm super excited to read this. I had never heard of this before. I've not heard of the Bright Sessions. I've not heard of any of this. So this looks really, really great. I'm really happy that I got this through my post box because this looks like it's going to be a really, really good one. It also looks like it's going to be a fairly quick read. It's not a terribly long book, and that's going to be really helpful for NaNoWriMo. And the last book that I have from publishers that I would like to read this month is one I'm really looking forward to. I am optimistic, but also nervous to read this book. And I think it should be really interesting. This is Warrior of the Altai by Robert Jordan. So Robert Jordan wrote the Wheel of Time series, and the majority of the Wheel of Time series before he passed away. And I love Wheel of Time. I am on the 10th book. I'm gonna get there one day. I'm gonna finally finish that 10th book, but it's one of my favorite series. I really, really love it, and I feel like I owe a lot of my love of fantasy to that series, even though I didn't discover it when I was younger like a lot of people do. I think I picked up the first book when I was 21, and that really kicked off my now 10-year-long real fantasy kick. So I feel like I owe a lot to Robert Jordan, and having a new Robert Jordan book is a really exciting thing. This was his first book that was ever bought by a publisher, but because he wanted to work on other projects like Wheel of Time, he never ended up getting around to this before he passed away. And I'm a little nervous about it because it is an early book of his. It was bought by a publisher, so I feel like it's not a shady situation like, say, something like Go Set a Watchman or Pirate Latitudes by Michael Crichton. This seems like something that he'd be okay with being published, and his widow backs it as well. And she's awesome regarding his work. She really looks out for his work now that he's passed away. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm optimistic. I don't know if it's going to be as good as Wheel of Time because it is an early book, but from the people that I have seen who have read this, you get a lot of the kind of ideas for Wheel of Time from this book. You can see where his ideas begin to grow from. So this is really exciting. This came out in October from Tor Books, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be really good. You can tell probably that I'm a little bit nervous, but I think that this is going to be a really good one to read, especially kind of as the weather is getting colder, as it's getting chillier, and you can kind of like, it's the best time to like throw yourself into a super epic fantasy world. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's definitely the right time of year. So next up, I actually forgot that I had another book that I need to put on my TBR for this month because my book club is reading it in early December. So that is 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City by KJ Parker. This sounds really great. This is one that I have had my eye on for a while, but never ended up picking up because I love the title. The title's great. And this sounds like a really fun one. It's a fantasy novel and it's about a city that's about to be under siege. And the only people who can like save the city and prepare the city for attack and for the siege that's coming are the engineers, who are more used to doing things like building bridges than defending walls. So I think this is going to be really fun. It's going to be a really great take on the fantasy kind of siege books, which I love. I love books that deal with sieges, like City of Lies, or that have to do with the aftermath of when the siege happened. So like, I believe The Well of Ascension, the second Mistborn book, does that, and Raven Cry, the second Blackwing book, does that as well. So this is going to be a really fun one. I'm really looking forward to this. I don't know anyone who has read this, so if you've read this, let me know, but I think it's going to be a really good book club book. I'm really looking forward to it. Now I have these books, which are all by the same author. When you see my October wrap-up, which will go up after this video, you will see that I read a couple of books by this author last month. I really love her books, and although someone's dated a little bit, I really enjoy them. They're such thumping good reads. So I have a ton of Agatha Christie books, and I'm borrowing 4 from my mother, who's the queen of crime, and I have 2 from the library. So I'm hoping to read 2 of these books in the month of November because they're super quick, they're super fun, they're crime books. I am writing a crime book for NaNoWriMo. They'll be good for, like, you know, keeping the little gray cells going. So I have a few here. I have The Mysterious Affair at Styles, which is the very first Poirot book. I love Poirot, he's my fave. Then I have Murder on the Links, which is I think the second Poirot book, neither of which I have read. Then I've never read any Miss Marple books, so my mum recommended 2. I have At Bertram's Hotel, and I have Nemesis. This one sounds really good. I think she receives a letter from a man who's actually died, and he essentially post-mortem hires her on to solve his death. That sounds really great. I'm probably going to read that one. And then I have a couple from the library. So I have An Appointment with Death, and I have Death on the Nile. I'm really looking forward to this one because the David Suchet adaptation scared the living daylights out of me when I was a little kid. I used to watch all the Poirot episodes with him with my mum, who, again, queen of crime, and I've seen a ton of them, but the one that really sticks out is Death on the Nile because it's scary. So I wanted to go ahead and get this and actually read it. So I have 6 Agatha Christie books. I don't know which ones I'm gonna pick. I think I kind of favored a few in that description just now, but we will see. We'll see. I'm really looking forward to these. I've now read 5, I think, of her books. I think I've read 5. So I'm always looking forward to adding to that number. I think that she's such good fun with her mysteries. Again, they're a little bit dated. I'll talk about that in my wrap-up. But I just think they're so much fun. And I love kind of the cozy mystery genre. So we will see how these go. I'll let you know in my November wrap-up which ones I end up actually reading. So that is my November TBR. We will see what I end up getting to. I will probably also read some other stuff that's not on this TBR because it's me. I'm really bad for sticking to TBRs, but I really do like creating them because I feel like it makes me at least somewhat stick to a goal, especially with review copies. So if you're wondering why the heck I actually do TBRs and I'm terrible at sticking to them, that is why. It reminds me of what I need to read. So I would love to know what you are planning to read in the month of November. If you've read any of these books, if they're in your TBR, definitely give me a shout. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.